Yo YouTube, I've been thinking a lot about light and color recently, so I decided to make a short video kind of explaining the concept of form, different lighting environments, and the different color interactions that light gives us. A good command of lighting and color can really elevate your painting skills. We're going to use a sphere as the basis of our video, but without any light, it might as well be a boring flat circle. By applying some directional light, we can apply a bit of form, and that'll make it look a bit more like a sphere. A spotlight is a great way to think of directional light. It comes from a consistent point, strikes the object, and affects the area around it. This light creates a highlight, the brightest point, and defines the light and shadow sides of our object. That directional light will continue to pass our object, strike the surface our sphere is laying on, and bounce off that surface. It also creates a cast shadow on our surface as it's illuminating the surrounding area. Ambient light is a directionless, consistent light that is usually very low in intensity and will soften our shadows when directional light doesn't overpower it. Bounce light reflects off surfaces and objects, illuminating the overall environment as well as any objects that come in contact with it. Ambient light usually creates some bounce light and will really illuminate anything that's close to a surface. All of this combines to give us a sense of form in a drawing that we can further break down. Coarse shadow is typically our darkest area, but it only occurs when it's not overpowered by a secondary light source. Painting it even when you can't see it can help imply a lot of form. A terminator defines the border between light and shaded sides of an object, and the halftone is kind of a gradient between that light and shaded side. Sometimes this is where you can get a good idea of an object's local color. Drop-off or fall-off is a phenomenon of indirect light that demonstrates the concept of light decay. Light is always exponentially losing strength, so parts of an object farther away from a light source are typically darker. An occlusion shadow occurs where the direct light, bounce lights, and ambient light cannot reach. So now that we've got a good understanding of the fundamentals of light and form, let's walk through some lighting environments that you're sure to come across in your paintings. Midday light is the harshest, most direct light we have, casting strong shadows and blasting our objects with light since the sun is just overhead. Shadows cast by this light are going to have a much harder edge, and our core shadow is going to be much more prominent. As the sun passes above us, it progressively becomes warmer with a yellow cast to it. Late afternoon light has a softer contrast to it and is more pleasing to the eye. Photographers call this the golden hour, and as the light starts to dissipate, the sky takes on a bluer cast, tinting our ambient light. Early morning light also has these qualities, but to a lesser effect. Sunset is when we really start to see strong colors in our lighting and a very low contrast on our subjects. As the sun becomes more reddish orange, the shadows become a richer shade of blue. Sunrise has similar qualities, but typically a little bit more redder in hue. In dusk, the pinks and purples associated with sunsets take over as the orange, warm light of the sun starts to set, and the softer light of the sky casts a low contrast light onto objects. Due to this low contrast, we can start to see a little bit more texture and details in our shadows. So far we've assumed a clear sky, but what happens in an environment where the sun is obstructed? While overcast can have a similar contrast level to dusk, it's going to be dependent on how thick the cloud coverage is. Unlike sunset, you'll have a consistent color cast across the sky, which will dampen and desaturate some of your colors. Full shade will have a stronger blue tint due to the warm light being blocked out, but the surrounding objects like walls or trees can still create colored bounce light. At night, we can still receive some light from the sun scattered across the atmosphere or from the moon. Our other nighttime light source, starlight, is not strong enough to cast light on us. Most interior light scenarios are warm and have a soft light to them. Bulbs are typically on the warmer spectrum, and the lampshades act as diffusers for that light. This softens the contrast in the environment and gives it a warm, cozy atmosphere. Cool light does the opposite and is typically seen as sterile or unsettling. An instance of cool light is fluorescent lighting, which is often greenish in color temperature and used to light large areas with multiple lights. Our eyes adjust to the green cast of lighting quickly, but photos without white balance are a great way to demonstrate that greenish hues. Finally, we come to mixed light, which can be any combination of color and intensity. In these scenarios, coarse shadows can be reduced or illuminated and terminators become more fluid. We started to touch on the effects of colors in our environment, but colored light also has its own curious behaviors. When we have two directional lights pointed at our object, we'll create a situation that tints our cast shadows in the opposing color. In this type of lighting scenario, the cast shadow from each colored light is going to be the color of the other source. That light in the cast shadow is being affected by the bounce light of the light source on that side. Bounce light doesn't have to come from colored light. In fact, light can pick up color after bouncing off any surface. Here, the bounce light from the white sky makes contact with the ground plane and bounces off and comes in contact with our sphere. Ambient light will bounce as well, so we'll get that green cast on both sides of our sphere. Even if we change the local color of our sphere, that green will still be present. Now, white light is made up of every color, and each of those colors has its own wavelength. If we change our spotlight color to a red-violet, we'll need to reduce the strength of our highlight since it's one of the weakest wavelengths. In a full color scenario, you'll need to identify the local color of the object, the color cast of the light source, as well as the color of any bounce or reflected light in order to capture the light and color realistically. Now, while I realize some of these concepts may be intimidating, by understanding the fundamentals of light and color, plus a little light physics, you can create some really fun effects. Here, I'll create a glow effect by inverting what we've talked about throughout the video. Objects radiating light tend to have softer edges due to the light diffusing through them, while still casting directional light to their surroundings. If you're working in Photoshop or Procreate, the layer mode Add is a great way to achieve this effect. By understanding the fundamentals, you can invent lighting environments and break the rules to your advantage. I hope you leave this video a bit more informed on light and color. If you're interested in learning about other art fundamentals, check out my channel and leave a comment if you'd like to see me cover anything in the future. Till next time!